Top Wonare, or Gunbuster, is a 1988 mecha show made by Gainax. You may have heard of them. Featuring the directorial debut of one Hideaki Anno, who would later go on to write and direct the ever-popular Evangelion. With that, let's begin. From Eva to Fooly Cooly to Diebuster to Gurren Lagann, the echoes of Gunbuster live on. The Gainaxian leitmotif of discovering one's identity and self-actualizing was defined in Gunbuster. Despite only being 6 episodes long, each protagonist changes significantly throughout the show, revealing their deeper traumas, hopes, and fears, and explore how they define the individuals, first as young trainees to fully fledged mech soldiers fighting on the front lines. Gunbuster is, at its heart, a re-exploration of the sports genre. The name, Aim for the Top, is actually a pun on Aim for the Ace, a popular tennis manga and anime. Indeed, for the first third of the show, piloting the mech is seen as nothing more than a sport that one can train for in stereotypical 80s training montages. This realignment of sports themes into mecha genre defined the character arcs, plot paths, and themes of Gainaxian anime going forward. Think back, those of you who've watched Gurren Lagann or Kill la Kill, just how similar those shows are in structure to a sports anime. The underdogs rise up, face defeat, stand up again, go for the championship. Gunbuster is responsible for this. Anno has constructed an entire lineage of shows centered on self-actualization, existentialism, and, well, robots. And it all began with Gunbuster, a sports story in the shell of a mecha anime. Beyond just generic analysis, the philosophical themes of the show are extremely similar to those of Eva. Though perhaps not as meta and in-depth as Eva gets, Gunbuster touches upon many of the deeper internal topics that Eva does. Loss, loneliness, inadequacy, sacrifice, fear of the unknown, existentialism, and more. In fact, once you've watched the show, I think you'll look at Eva with a new perspective. As I see it, Evangelion is Gunbuster with philosophy up and badassery down. The story begins with Noriko, a young child living on Earth whose father is an admiral in the space fleet, fighting against monsters from the deepest reaches of space, hell-bent on reaching the solar system and destroying humanity. This already sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it? Noriko's father dies, and so she enters a training school to become a mech pilot and fight, just as her father once did. In Eva, we have Shinji, the reluctant hero who is destined to pilot the Eva despite not wanting to. In Gunbuster, we have Noriko, the active hero. Though clumsy and maligned, she is forced to fight her way to the top, rather than being put there as part of her destiny. One of the core parallels between all Gainaxian protagonists is that they were deeply flawed, and it is through that flaw we learn to identify with them. Shinji is depressive, Naota is literally a child, Nono is a klutz, Simone has no self-esteem, Ryuko is brash. Noriko too idealizes a flaw, but it is not a character flaw, but an ability flaw? She, in simplest terms, is pitiable. She is a hard worker, but beyond that, an abject failure at piloting. She is bullied and mocked and beaten, and seems, frankly, entitled to the opportunity to go out to space and avenge her father, despite her lack of ability. Over the course of the show, Noriko grows and grows as we sit there cheering her on. But eventually, reality kicks in, and Noriko realizes that no, this isn't just a sport. This is life and death. She falls down to her lowest point, and we as viewers simply sit there and say no. Don't give up. Stand up. Keep fighting. You can see how this is related to sports anime, right? Noriko is, in all aspects, the defining prototype of the Gainaxian protagonist. She has grit and mettle and always seeks to overcome her flaws. She has ups and downs and an unwavering personal philosophy. Above all else, she has spirit. Flanking Noriko are several other characters that each could be analyzed with the same depth as people have spent on the side characters of Evangelion. From the beautiful and talented Amano, groomed to be one of humanity's saviors, to young Freud, the fiery redhead German fighting feelings of inadequacy, Oh, no, sorry, my mistake. The fiery redhead Soviet fighting feelings of inadequacy. We wouldn't want to be too on the nose. To Coach, the older, experienced mentor with an old plot-related trauma. These side characters, though perhaps cliches even in Gunbuster's time, are clearly prototypes for the side characters in Evangelion, though maybe Rei being a mono is a bit of a stretch. In 6 episodes, Gunbuster was able to define Gainax by developing the framework that each and every Gainaxian Trigger protagonist would follow. We also have to look at the tropes that it birthed. I mean, for God's sakes, they invented this badass shit.
The Gainax pose.
Oh, and the
Gainax jiggle.
No. We can't show that one here. Oops. I won't deny that Gunbuster is an old show. A lot of people may be turned off by its visuals, its unabashed 80s aesthetic, and blatant campiness. But all that is what makes Gunbuster so special. The vibe in Gunbuster is what is responsible for the Gainaxian spirit, in that every show that follows Gunbuster is retreading the unashamed essence of pure, unadulterated badassery built upon a deep philosophical base. So that's my pitch to you. There's so much I'd like to say about the show, but can't because of spoilers. If you like Evangelion, or really any Gainax or Trigger show, I think it'd be in your best interest to look back at their roots and find Gunbuster, the forefather of all this badassery. My name is Max. Be sure to check out Gunbuster, and have a good one.